Okay, we're live. Now my mic should be live in there now because I told them that I can come in, that they have no standing rights. What happens, they whenever I play different music, they think it's a copyright and they mute my music. They think they own it. They don't own nothing. Okay. So yeah, my mistake, Bonnie. I sent the wrong link, but I do have the right link here. So I'm gonna go back in here again. Okay, so this feature here is no good. But this feature is good. So refresh your page. And that should be it on my Facebook. Page is refreshed. Yep, I'm live. Good. We're in like Flint. That's what they do. So, anyways, I'm on Facebook Live. You can go back into the Facebook again. I'll drop it into the Facebook page where I am. Those want to drop in both rooms, you can. Here I am. Okay, so I'm back in again. Thank you guys for being patient with me. I've been arguing, fighting with these guys for the longest time regarding my show, and like I get notices all the time. So I don't know. That's they're idiots. Bloody idiots. So what can I say? Um, let's see the chat rooms here. There we go. Now people can come in. There's one people observing right now as we speak, so you guys can see me. There's the page if you want to take that page, drop and go see your friends. I did forward it again once before to other people, but if they can come back into the chat room, they're more than welcome to. Let's see here. Let's see this part here. Once before. Yeah, it looks good. Okay. They got nothing to say now. And I'll do it again. And that should be there. That should be there. Done. And that one should be there. Okay, I'm just sending messages to people here that were in and got lost again. So now it's working. Finally. Oof. That should work, right? Yeah, it does. Okay, we're good. Anyways, we've got lots to talk about tonight. Not pretty stuff, but as always, it's always busy working. As you can see, my guy over here, he's always looking over my shoulder. Typical. You know, we always have somebody looking over your shoulder. That's why I have him there. Like, what, Derek, what you doing? Right? Okay. I'm going to go a little bit further back in time just for a bit here, folks, because the most important part that I want to talk about is they have what's called the E.B.S, the emergency broadcasting, I guess we'd say, I'm not sure what you're going to call it, the system or the scare tactic, right? And the E.B.S has been, we talked about E.B.S for I don't know how long now, last couple of years, 2.5 years. And like, you know, we've actually, all of us have had the E.B.S come after us or come, you know, jump in our phones and talk about the E.B.S for the longest time. And we're always worried about, okay, what's going to happen next. Now, mainly what most people don't realize, the emergency broadcasting system had one purpose in life, and that was actually if anything ever happened as a catastrophe or an air raid or a an attack as World War III, that's why they call emergency broadcasting system. Or if there's somebody gone missing that they felt was important that you had to go find them, or they put the word out for other people to find them, that's what it was for, right? Now, what has happened now these days, oh yeah, right, Keith, zombies. Most likely too down the road. The thing is that they're putting a huge cold and a very brief, heavy, scary, cold message for October the 4th, 2023, that there is something really bad's going to happen now. And we're getting these messages from a lot of people that have been part of the system for a long, long time, but they're putting this one out for a purpose, a very important purpose. Okay. This E.B.S, when it goes off on October the 4th, it is actually, there's a certain sound wave that'll come through the phone that will affect people who have already had the snake bites. Because remember, folks, the first jab or the first snake bite, when it was placed into the arm, the nano bite, B-A-Y-T-E, has started to excel itself around the body inside. Okay. So what happened is that it starts to play with the brain. Now, the second snake bite, as well as the third, man, energy is really heavy. I'm making just yelling like crazy. Energy is so heavy. Holy crap. Because I'm right, hang on, I'm right with spirit. They're telling me what to say to you guys. I can hear them. And I start getting the energy really heavy. And that doesn't happen too often. When I start feeling this yawning feeling, that's heavy. Because they're telling me what to tell you. What it does for the second and the third can affect your God light. That means your God light is in here, the third eye and the pineal gland. And it can disrupt it. And what happens is people begin to feel angry, hateful, cruel. They'll start yelling and screaming for uncontrollable urges. They'll start acting really strange, get emotional. And like you said, Keith, they can act like a zombie. Now, that's the fear factor. Okay, that's what they are trying to get you scared about. Now, whether it actually is true or not, but it actually relates to the towers. Okay, those ones they put up there, there's 5 and the capital G, that's what's going to cause the problem. So, a lot of people are saying to you for that day of the 4th of October, which is actually on a Wednesday, I believe so. Today is Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, which is another radio show I do. But on the Wednesday, there is a when the E.B.S goes off, they recommend you not to have the phone on, and in fact, to place it somewhere in a way away for at least good 20 feet, where you don't even use the phone all day. Okay, and it won't affect your energy. It won't affect you at all. Like, just turn your phone off. Whatever you can do is keep it about 20 feet away from you, under a couch, whatever you want to hide it away. Wrap some metal around it. Put in a tin pot, or even a coffee pot, or a pot with a lid on it. Leave it there for the whole day. Don't even answer the phone. And leave it for the whole day, 24 hours. Now, that's what the recommendation is. Now, those that are not snake bitten will not be affected by it. Now, you can either believe it or disbelieve it. But I've watched so many videos from so many people that are experts, and they're panicking. They're so completely enraged because the CABAL has they're on their last, I guess, jump off the cliff, so to speak. And they are trying everything they can to see if they can still capture a few people and to harm them and to basically remove them from this life. Now, we've lost a few doctors, some great whistleblowers. They weren't um, they weren't snake bitten, but a lot of them were actually okay taken out because they were whistleblowers, really good ones. Um, and their word, what they had stated was they knew that they were snake bitten, a real snake bite. It was placed into their drinks, and it is a slow process of basically debilitating their health to the point where they don't exist. Now, why were these people being snake bitten purposely? These particular ones, like real snake poison, it's because they were the best whistleblowers around and they knew from the very beginning what was inside the um, bottle that was used or has been using on everyone across the world, because they took that stuff and put it into a lab. They used their own labs and they tested it and they found out what it was inside, and they broke it down to every process because Bill Gates did not want, nor did Fauci want anyone to know what was inside of it. None. So these doctors that have been working together back and forth and have been sharing information with you back and forth, they were taken out because they had the evidence. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to say to me or say to you, well, then how come, how come Trump didn't protect him? Or how come he can't protect everybody? This is not his job was to let you inform you what's going on. You had to learn to protect yourself. Now, if you really need help, then call upon him. But I don't think these doctors actually even realized if they needed help, they would have to go into protective, like custody, as in like really protection, right? And because a lot of actors and actresses and famous people had to fake their deaths, hint, fake their deaths, hint, and disappear. Okay. Just like a few others out there that I know had to fake their deaths the last few months, um, and disappear because they were getting too close to exposing Hollywood, exposing Sony, exposing the music industry, exposing even the Actors Guild. And some of them had to, I should say, fake their living way of life. And that's what they had to do. Now, I can't say who did because it's not my place to say. You will know later on next year who actually had to, who did make it, and who did not. There have been some that had to earlier and played the role of other famous people, pretend to be them, and they did it because that's how they protect themselves. Um, I know of some that did play those roles. I mean, everybody kept on talking about Jim Carrey playing Biden, which it's all over the place. I mean, everybody knows that, which he did. But there's a deal that he made with Trump's people, okay? And they made the deal. And the deal was, here's a deal. We need you to do this, okay? So that's what he did. And he's still doing it. If you've seen all the falls and the foolishness, and I mean, from the very beginning, James Woods was the original guy who played him. And then down the road, the falls and the falling upstairs, that's all Jim Carrey. Okay, so if you guys think Bidan is still alive, the real one, no, he's not. Never has been. He's been gone for a long, long time. We were told that it should have been over this year. Um, I said it, yes, because I was told it should have been done by the end of this year. But I cannot say because, see, what happens, let me explain something to you guys. It's not up to me to say if it's over. I have to hear them tell me, if I get the message saying it should be, then I know it should be. But there are still people underground that are not done, or they stay hidden for a while until they came back out or came out. And next thing you know, then some people say, "Oh, I missed that guy, or I missed this person to capture him or get him." Meantime, that person has other people in other tunnels, other directions, and that's why we're having all of these DEWs, FLOODSs all over the world, because there's still a couple more tunnels left. And if you look at New York, for example, it's flooding right now. A week before, it was actually Nevada, then the Las Vegas. Those are the most commonly used tunnels that have been used for over hundreds of years. There are underground train tracks underground New York that were still active. Not, I mean, you sure you have your subway? And then there's another subway under a subway. Did you guys know that? No, you didn't. There is another secret subway which is far more advanced than the one up above. And it was like a tube. Boom. That thing was there within minutes because it would go over 700 to 800 miles an hour. Not the one that you see there going, and you're just taking a subway. No, the one down below is super subway or super subway, and that's what it was. So everybody actually had to travel underground even more, 300 feet. And they went real fast all across the United States, Canada, Europe. They can go anywhere across the world, anywhere with a matter of minutes. And they're there. So that's why we have never had a chance to really have our freedom. We thought we were free, fighting wars for people, fighting for our freedom. Yes, we did. A lot of our good people out there sacrificed their lives for many generations for fighting for their freedom. And yet, why, when we get home, why is it that the government is still trying to control us and tell us what to do? It's the law. It's the law. We're making a new law. It's the law. We're passing a bill. That's the bill. We're passing this one. That's another law. Okay. Now, Operation Looking Glass is a futuristic glass. Okay, it's a screen. It's a very, very old, ancient screen, and the White Hats have it. Now, the original person that did have it was the Vatican. The Vatican were the ones that actually were using it for hundreds of years, but when they got a hold of it, the White Hats, and they seen that screen, the Black Hats had no idea. They were trying to manipulate the future so much, but they knew very well they couldn't change anything because it all fell back into being negative again. But for some reason, when the White Hats got it, it became being in their favor. So you can't rush the future, folks. You can't rush the future. They're trying to do is to make sure it works, that everyone has an opportunity to succeed through it without you losing more lives. Now, we talked about Hawaii, where they had the DAWs, and a lot of kids went missing by few thousand kids. Those kids are safe. Okay, I can tell you that right now, they're safe. Okay, because there was military helicopters picked up these containers that there was actually school buses that went into each of these containers, and then the containers are picked up by the special made military helicopters, and the kids are safe in a location. They had to be placed safely in location because the Human traffickers wanted those kids out of the way. They wanted to control Hawaiians so they can take the land away from Hawaii and turn it into the very first 15-minute city in the United States. You see, Europe already has its own 15-minute city. It wasn't the training ground wasn't just Hawaii first. The first training ground was England. England already has begun its 15-minute city about 6 months ago. And it's really outlandish. A lot of people really can't go very far. And a lot of people are fighting even to this day trying to get their rights and to even cross over a boundary or a district, they call it. Reminds me from a movie, the Ninth District, which basically it was robotically controlled, and certain robots were rejects, and there's robots living with people, and humans living with robots, and then there's some humans that were basically had to report on other humans if they tried to leave the district. And if you did report on other humans, then you would get more money put into your bank account. That movie was actually based on a future true and could be a true story. That's what they were going to show you. What their plan was to control us. That's what it was about. Okay, that was the main plan. And the thing is that I'm trying to tell people that when you're looking for a way of your own freedom, stand up for yourself more often. Trust your Canadian Charter Rights and Freedoms. Trust the Nuremberg Code 2.0. Trust the Geneva Convention. And there's more other even laws, international laws that protect you. And something I discovered that I found out, there's actually 7 or 8 international laws that protect you. Not just the 3, 8. And most of them actually are militarized. That protects you, not the bad guy. It protects you. And I saw the list. I got a photograph of it, but the photograph of the list is in my phone. But I'm going to take that copy of it. I'm going to transfer and drop it into my Telegram page, and you'll get to see it and share that around with everybody. I got a copy of it. And it was when I seen that, I went, finally, there's more to it. And you can take that with you, make a copy of it, take it with you, and show. And if anybody's some chance, if anybody gives you trouble in what you're trying to search your freedom or stand for your freedom, you show them that. You say, whether it's a piece of paper or even your phone, there's your freedoms, folks. And those officers cannot change you. They cannot arrest you. They cannot charge you because you're protected under God. They're trying to say that religion has no bearing, that they can actually take religion away from you, that it cannot protect you no longer. That's wrong. You're not under a religion, but you're under the name God. Okay? As goodness over doubt. That is a factual law. That is God's law, has always been, because God is the one that created the earth. Man did not create earth, God did. People say, oh, the aliens created the earth. No, God did. The aliens lived on the earth, no matter who they are. Reptilians, Arcturians, Palladians, they all were there to make decisions whether they wanted to be here to watch over us, or to be by our side to support us, or to help us to improve our life being. That's great. And then there's some out there that want to take our power away from us, and go as far even as using us as a human food under cannibalism, and or using us for experimentation. And that's exactly what was going on for generations, for thousands and thousands of thousands. It goes back into almost 100, maybe a million or so years. This earth has been used for a long, long time. It was considered as an experimental ground. We're not living just in one major round earth. We are living in like a dome. That means everything goes this way. over and over and over. Biodome. We're in a biodome, guys. Think about it. If you look at your rainbows, for example, or your prisms, okay, the prisms like your light reflections, and you see a light, and you take a prism crystal, and everything goes into a straight line because it's a straight prism. But if your prism was curved, it would go to a curve. So if it rained outside, your sky goes into a curve. It doesn't go all the way around the world. It stops on top of the earth. Why does it go from here to here and not all the way around? People say when the astronauts, those that were in the sky in the space station watching the rainbows actually stopped on top of the planet, didn't go all the way around the planet. So what does that tell you? The theory is there. I'm not going to say proof, but the theory is there. So either way, we're still living on something that is keeping us alive. We're living on something that is actually organic. Okay, it's organic. It is alive. Every emotion, whether it's the earth, the trees, the flowers, all insects, bugs, anything underground, everything above ground is organic. It's all connected to us. We all relate to it. We all have feelings to it. Everything. You can talk to a worm. It could be your best friend. Talk to a bug, an insect. You can talk to moths, butterflies. And you become your friend. If you're a destructive person, well, that's your problem. Some people are after that. Some people choose a job by breaking ground to put a building on it. Well, if you do, you do. But a lot of these insects and bugs that live underground, they gave their lives for you to place your home, but they'll always come back because their lifespan is short. They're not a full 1,000-year living being, so they're there for maybe 4 or 5 days or a couple weeks or a couple months. They don't live that long, but their span is constantly recycling because they're trying to keep the earth active. They're trying to keep it fresh and clean, right? Think about the organics of things, folks. Think about, now, like I said before, the E.B.S. Is it scary or is it safe? Is it a warning signal or is it going to be fearful, like as in hurt you? What I tell people this, I asked Spirit this, and they said it will not harm you, but sometimes they make up these stories of E.B.S. as being a warning signal. They're warning you ahead of time to be prepared for. Or maybe sometimes you need to use those EBSs to help find someone that's missing. And there's still women and men and boys and girls that are gone missing. So even to this day, they've suddenly become missing. And yet some of those police officers can't find them. Well, why? Because there's still corrupt people out there that are still trying to do harm to them. And it'll always be like this until we have martial law. Once martial law comes into play, nobody's going to get away with anything. I'm not kidding you guys. We are done a corporation. The corporation of this country in Canada is over. We're not under corporation any longer. I want to talk about, too, Dr. Bonnie Henry. She made her announcement a couple of days ago that she's brought back the mask, the baby diaper, or I guess we'd say the face diaper. She's bringing that back to put on her face again. And she wants us to be 6 feet apart, the whole 9 yards. She wants to make it start. She wants to make it active, mandatory. The word mandatory, she's making it mandatory again on October the 3rd. And all the hospitals have to do it, all the clinics, here we go again, all over again. Then we'll bring all that back. And the words are not because of the sea. They're just saying, well, what if it happens again? They have forgotten what a cold and flu is. You never hear that word anymore. Cold, I have a cold. Or I have the flu. They don't hear that word anymore because they made a new word out of it. And if you even say that word on any show, like this one, you finally, they actually will pick on you, um, and they start doing algorithms. And they start looking at, well, what did they say? Okay, algorithm this and algorithm that. Just picking up that word, just hearing the word, they pick on you, right? So start saying, if you get a cold, I have a cold. If you got the flu, I have a flu. You're supposed to have it. Getting a snake bite jab in the arm doesn't. And well, you need to get your flu shot. Why? Bonnie Henry even said you need to get another jab and get your flu shot at the same time. They're the same thing. But the flu shot already has the FLUE in it. So it's going to give it to you. What it does, it actually weakens your immune system. I'm sorry to say, folks, but that's what it does. I watched a guy, an interviewer, a fellow on TV, very famous man in England, who actually took a shot on TV, on television live in England. With a matter of minutes, he was sicker than a dog. I mean, I'm telling you, his nose is running, eyes are red. He's doing that. He was healthy before that, but he's trying to prove something that he didn't have. Nothing was wrong with him, right? Guess what? They're not pushing that flu shot as much as they used to in England because they watched him demonstrate what happened to him on TV. Right? So the thing is that we have to understand there are means to help fix the snake bites. There are fixers for it, but I'm not supposed to tell you because of the anagram. Because it's like a medical tracker. And they're not supposed to allow us to even say anything about it. And if we ever mention it, then they come to your home and they give you a ticket because that's their plan. They want to do everything they can that you can't even say gaga unless it means something to them. It's getting to be where you're be careful, don't say those words. Your children, it has nothing to do with the kids and it has nothing to do with safety. Nothing. And yet we're dealing with this other crap in the schools, but the kids, that needs to be fixed as well. But the thing is that I'll talk more about that one after. Anyways, because I can get distracted very easy. So they're calling it alternative health. This is actually as of today. Today is the 2nd of October. And as of tomorrow, they're calling it alternative health. And YouTube and everyone who actually is advertising anything to do with health, they're taking all their channels down. Unless you're promoting a COVID sponsor. If you're not you're not sponsoring them, then your health channel goes down. They are willing to take down everything and anything. I've actually got so many friends that are sending me pages. They got blocked out of the Facebook. They got blocked out of YouTube. They got blocked out of Instagram. They've lost their pages. They're being taken down now. All their health pages, and they had over hundreds of thousands of people following them, giving them all advice for years. See, Justin Trudeau, the fake one, has supposedly passed a bill. There's a bill that passed in Canada that we are not allowed to even use anything alternative for ourselves. And if we do, he wants to know. Now, there is a he actually has passed. He's trying to get the bill passed, and he's trying his darndest. And he wants to remove. He wants to have all of the alternative health centers, even health food stores, anything to do with health. They're going to take everything off the shelves. Everything off the shelves, unless it's a sponsor supporting, say, Moderna, that sort of thing. Okay. Because if you see on TV, if you watch TV now these days, any sports shows or hockey game, baseball game, sponsored by Moderna. Sponsored by Moderna. See that? Watch those little advertisements, folks. Wrestling match, sponsored by Moderna. Next thing you know, there's a wrestler that died in the ring. Or a hockey player died, heart attack. Or a baseball player died heart attack, or an athlete in the field playing football, hockey, or soccer died heart attack. And they're saying, well, we don't know where that comes from, maybe because they got a problem with their youth. But they won't admit. Right? We know that. So if you look at it, folks, everything's advertised Moderna. Sponsored by Moderna. Now you know. And there's a lady that I knew that worked for the company, didn't realize that it is that she was working there, and not as a lab tech. I think whatever her job was there. When she realized after all the people were, her reason were dying around her, she quit working for the company, and she was there for about 25 years because people were when they were telling her, "What do you do for work?" "Oh, I work for Moderna." And they're going like, "Oh, you're the problem. You're the one that actually," and next thing you know, like, she's hated by everybody. Those are once her friends. Now those people are actually hate her guts. So she quit because she knew that's not what her job was. She took great pride and thought she was helping people, but she realized it's the opposite of helping. So she quit. So the thing is that just watch your commercials on TV and listen to the radio. I've actually heard radio broadcasters still sponsoring Moderna. They're still pushing it. And I tell people this: as long as you keep on advertising that name brand or any other name brand that's done damage, when that day comes, very close, I'm just watching the military going to come and pick them up, and they're going to go bye-bye. And they won't be no more sponsored by Moderna. It's more like, oh, we're going to Guantanamo Bay in Cuba, and we're watching a military tribunal sponsored by Donald Trump. Watch. You'll see. So, anyways. Okay. Evergreen containers. Some of you may not know, do know, but actually they were owned or controlled by, they were actually part of the Clinton Foundation, the Clinton people, Bill and Hillary Clinton. That was their company, Evergreen. Evergreen and Walmart were the original containers or companies that were using these containers to ship children and people, human trafficking, from one place to the other. They were tied up with nothing available for them to eat or drink. As far as I understood it, they're all tied up. Most of them wrapped in, you name it, bindings of sorts. I've seen photographs of them in bindings, and they were shipped to countries like China and Ukraine. And this is all human trafficking that was ongoing for years and years and years. So that got stopped last year, finalized. They took the containers and seized them. That's why sometimes you see some of these ships tipping over the side and the containers fall over. It's because the family, the Clinton family, were carrying military or shipping military materials to the Ukraine, and those materials were, how do you say it? That would have been the beginning of World War III, and that got tipped over. So those materials now are on the bottom of the sea. Not the children. There's no kids in that one. That was full of weapons. Of this is what I call the real weapons of MASS destruction. So they're gone. So they're ahead of time. Now, many times you guys have watched the show. I've talked about the DEWs, and DEW's been around for a long, long time. If you don't know what DEW is, it's direct energy weapons. Those are the ones that have been used all over across the world. That's why you see these sunbeams of light. Boom, things exploded. Even the closest one I've ever seen on film is in Prince George in BC. There was a building in the middle of the city in Prince George. A light beam, boom, hit the building and exploded. Why? Because there was an underground tunnel, okay, underground tunnel in under that building, and that was actually that building itself was a human trafficking tunnel. That building itself was used to kidnap and take children and women, okay, and that's where they disappeared. And they scoop them up, haul them over to that building and the underground, and off to they go to either the Ukraine or China as slaves, or whatever other means as well. I'm not going to go into bad details or deeper bad details on it. I will say something that you would never ever want to think about. You have nightmares over it. That's how bad it was. Because they pretty well gotten rid of most of the people, as far as I understood. We're almost close to that 90% or so left. There's still more to clean up, but it's not as bad as it was, say, 2 years ago. Like they were in the 70, 80%. So they've been so busy. It's not on the ground, the land itself, it's what's underground. That's where the worst was. Okay. So it was all under the ground. That's where this whole problem was taking place. That's why I'm calling this a night special, Monday night special, because when everybody knows about my show on Thursdays, and so there are some people out there that I thought were friends, but were also informants for somebody else that doesn't like me. So I thought I'd do a Monday night special. That person can't stop anything or contact who here to slow me down to talk about what I want to talk about. It never will, because I'm protected too. But I'm just basically pointing this out. And I don't fear for my life at all. So, but I'm doing that. I'm just repeating what others have shared that are of the Alliance. I also am sharing information from people that are higher up, and they give us permission to say what you can say, what they want you to say. There are other people out there, and this is under the military. This is not typical regular household rumors. This is just the real stuff. So we clarify things in this world. So basically, you want to clean up everything that's been garbaged. Okay, now I want to bring up this first. Some of you guys may have seen this before being mailed to you. And this actually is this form. And what they're doing is they're asking people, like the BC Stats invites you to take the BC demographic survey. Now, every province will have one. It'll say Ontario, Saskatchewan, Alberta. Don't fill it out. Why? This one here is all to do with racism. Okay. And I looked at this carefully and I read it, and I'm thinking, why are they asking a us to fill out the form and send it to them. It says BC Stats invites you to take the BC Demographic Survey. By choosing to take the survey, you'll be doing your part to improve, listen carefully, improve the public services and address systemic racism in BC. Now, my words are, we don't have systemic racism. Who makes racism is the government. Okay, they're the ones that create racism because they're always having us infight each other. They've been doing even during when the pandemic started. Why do you think they did Black Lives Matter, white above this, that person that, this? That's exactly what they've been doing all this time. Now, because George Soros was the one that was arranging all this. He was creating, this is his idea, okay? Collecting demographic information will help us identify inequities to ensure programs meet the needs of more people in British Columbia. We need people of all backgrounds to participate. Your information will be collected, protected, and kept confidential by the BC Stats under BC's Anti-Racism Data Act and Statistics Act when survey results are published, and your responses will be combined with the response of others that you cannot be identified. Now, they want you to mail this back, but your freaking name is on it. Does that make any sense? These guys are freaking hypocrites. How can they say that it's... I had to erase my address off of it, and they want you to mail this back, and also you can scan it too. I'm not going to give you the scan. I'll show you the scan, but if I showed you the scan, then you go, boop, next thing you know, you're in it. Okay. They want you to scan it because then now they can copy everything that is on your phone. Did you know, you folks realize that once they scan you, I'm going to do this first. Okay. If these guys scan you, okay, when you put a scan over this, they got everything, every piece of information out of your cell phone. Did you know that? Anything you put in your cell phone is no longer private. Why do you think they use these Q codes, the QR codes? These are to basically see everything you have privately, personally in your phone. I'm not kidding you. I've talked to a few guys that repair phones, and they will actually tell you, don't use these QR code stats if absolutely necessary. Anything to do with the federal government, you do not try to scan that, because they know everything about you privately before you don't even have to bother mailing it back. They automatically own it. They will tell you what to do. They control you under racism. Why do you think Trudeau? Here's the thing that really gets me. These are the biggest hypocrites in the world. Okay? Your BC government, your government, no matter if it's federal or provincial, Liberal government are the leaders of our country. They're the ones that are telling us what to do. We have a prime minister that calls us racists and misogynists. What's this survey saying? Who is the racist and misogynist? Who's following the leader? Whoever thinks Trudeau is their idol, folks, you're following a freaking pedophile. Okay? He's a freaking pedophile and he's a killer. He's a murderer. He's done it before. You don't realize the shit he's done. Now, the real Trudeau, like I said, is gone. He was already taken out in Guantanamo Bay. But I'm telling you, don't pay attention to this bullshit because you're getting filled full of crap. You know, I so loved the idea when we actually celebrated our Indigenous Day, or we had the Orange Shirt Day. That was to give recognition of the suffering of our people that went through residential schools, and those had lost their lives. Okay. And then, sure, there's going to be generations and generations suffering for the longest time. They're memories. They're memories of what our relatives have lost and suffered through time. But it's not just Indigenous people. There's so many people from Ireland that went through the same thing in their country, where the young girls they went through a same similar type of school as residential school by the priests, and they got the girls pregnant. Same thing. And the nuns were there, and they actually would take the babies from the little girls and they would kill them and they put them in the walls of the buildings. Same suffering. I talked to a lady from Ireland, and she said that she went through the same thing herself. When she came to this gathering here in Chilliwack, I had a chat with her. When she came to this event, she went into tears. She lost it. She says because it reminded her herself, and she was not native. She was Irish, and she went through the same thing in their school. Their abuse, same thing. The girls and the boys, the kids were starved. The same situation. It wasn't just of one race, many races. They did it to the East Indians children as well, and the African American kids as well. Same thing, suffered. I'm not kidding you guys. The same thing. And yet we're so it's wonderful that we need to have all our races come together because we all went through something from the past. Slavery has been around for thousands of freaking years. Slavery did not start with the beginning of the Africans. Slavery was started by the Africans in Africa themselves. They're the ones that created slavery, but also it was actually people from other foreign countries that took slaves. And we were the slaves. We were their slaves. Why didn't they call us eunuchs? They took the men, cut them, and we were called the eunuchs. Long before black slavery came into factor. So it went from generation to generation, then it shifted from race to race to race. And this particular card is made specifically by the WHO, the World, okay, you know who. Okay, this is your WHO people. WEF, World Economic Forum. This is their card. This is Klaus Schwab's card. This is what he's doing. He's making it that you have to focus on this particular issue, racism. We never had racism ever. If you look at your leaders from many generations before, from even going back in time, the Romans, what do? They picked on races, and they're destroying races through wars. The Romans wanted to control all the lands, and they want to be the sole gods. Okay, I'm not kidding you guys. Think about this. Anybody with different color of skin. I mean, I remember when I was a kid growing up, I had there was a little black African American boy, coolest kid ever, and his name is the same name as mine, first name. And we both went into a sandbox together we're playing in the park in Brandon, Manitoba. I was 7, 8 years old. My mom took me to the park, and I was sitting in the sandbox playing with some toys because they had some extra toys in there, and there's kids playing. And this little kid shows up, and he asked me if he can play with me. I said, sure. So him and I are playing together, and what's your name, Derek? And your name, Derek. And we got to know each other and became friends. And every day he would come there. His mom would be on the other side of the park, sitting with her other daughter, and he's there playing with me. Now, the mom never knew that I was playing with him. Now, this is back in 1960, 62, 63, and around there. And sorry, 65, 66, 1966. Now, him and I are playing with our, and we're having a great time. We've become really good friends because I said, "Do you want to be my friend?" Sure. We became really good friends. And for weeks that we played together, we didn't see each other identified as being a different race. We just saw each other as buddies. And then his mom showed up that one day. She turned around, seen him, and she walked over to the sandbox, And suddenly she grabbed her boy. She goes, Derek. And I looked up and she goes, no, him. And she grabbed him by the arm. She's, stay away from that boy. I'm going, why? And I'm looking at her like, what did I do? And that was when I found, I didn't know what that meant. I asked my mom, I said, why did this mom tell him to stay away from me? Mom said there was a law in Canada that black people are not allowed to play or to associate with white people or of any other race. They have to stay away from each other. It was still racist. I mean, like, I didn't know because as a kid, you just see people as normal. Society made it that way. Society created a race, a separation. But how society was started. If you look at the words, even look at the name society, it's created of control. We have a society. Think about it, folks. The name, I have a society. That means it's one brand. Okay, can all races commit? No, it's a society. Okay, what kind of society is it? Well, it's a society, a special society. It's controlled, but we have a society. I don't care for them. I really don't. I rather have a community where everyone is welcome. I don't care what color, creed, or race you are. My mother never raised me as being a racist. Never. She, in fact, the coolest part is we have indigenous blood in our family. We have different kind of races in our family. Even I got one cousin who married my other, or one cousin that's my uncle's daughter, who married an African American or African black man, and they've got kids. And I'm going, and my mom said, it's about time we need to change the race up a little bit. My mom said that. It's about time we need to change the race up a little bit. And that's because she was all for it. And I was like, good, we need that. But there are people out there still, stay away from them. Stay away from them, And no, I won't. And you're going to, there are sometimes too, I've seen people that are, no matter what race you are, they if you don't have a liking for certain people from the past, even I mean, when I did the River Crew Resort back for the Truth and Reconciliation back in 2008, I was there. I was one of the representatives of the Métis. And there was over 250 of us from different reservations, like 250 reservations that were up there at River Cree in Calgary. And we were there by the hundreds, packed house. And we were there specifically for the Truth and Reconciliation. That was the first meeting we had with Prime Minister Harper's people. Some of you that are watching right now may have been there, not been there. And if you were there, you'll know why. You'll remember. And I was the only Métis representative there. Not one Métis organization wanted to go to the Truth and Reconciliation, except the one that I was with. Why? Because they thought they believed that no Métis went to or they didn't realize Métis went to residential schools, and a lot of them did. A lot of them went to residential schools or day schools, and even to this day, even the federal government's denying the fact that any Métis went to residential schools, and they did. There's proof, but they don't want to add in more people onto the list. In fact, they're trying to devalue the list and saying, well, how do you know these schools ever existed? Because now they're not there. So they just take them off the list. They're not there, then you never went. So again, our Canadian government is very, very conniving, very sneaky. So the thing is, what I remember when I was a kid growing up, like I said, there was no racism. None with us. It was created. Even in Manitoba and Winnipeg, when I was a little kid, we all got along. Every First Nations Métis kid got along with the white folks. And I went to a like a day school where there's Métis First Nations kids all the time, and we all went to school together. I was placed there for that reason, but we all got along, and yet there was no separatism. We became they tried to treat it like a regular school. They didn't. There were no racism was ever spoken. We all got along. But then what happened later on, I would say around the mid '80s, early '90s, then racism began, where there was even separatism between French people and those who didn't speak French. Those spoken Michif language, which is Cree French, or those who spoke Cree or Lakota, even there was separation between them as well. Like all of a sudden there was a bar, and I got like a bar of separation. Like, oh, you can't go. You can only go here. Just follow us here. We're only a society. And I kept telling people, why you guys keep on separating each other from separating yourselves away from each other? Well, the government says that we need to. See, the government says that we need to. We need to create a specific foundation, a center, like basically let's put a wall up. We'll keep you out, protect. Protect from what? Who are you hurting? Nobody. We're not hurting each other. They create the hurt to us. The government. The government officials are the ones that I've watched them I've watched them in the council chambers. Okay. Some of these indigenous leaders, and they make up stories that are absolute freaking lies. They lie. They start the shit, and I will say that word twice. They'll start the shit, and then they'll start blaming, and then they'll say, oh, we didn't say that. They did. They started up. For example, even one of the female representatives from the indigenous people in Parliament, I can't remember her name all of a sudden. She's the older lady with white hair and glasses, mouthpiece, just a mouthpiece. She said, she's all for depopulation. She was in shock that a lot of the First Nations people refused to take the snake bite. Oh, that's not right. They should go in and get their needle. We need to depopulate. And her words were, she got frustrated, goes, we need to depopulate the world. Enough of these Indians. We need to get rid of these people. She muffled it in the chambers. She was upset, and nobody said a word. How dare you say that? She said the word depopulation. We need to depopulate the world. We need to populate these children. We shouldn't have any. And then she's also saying we need to have a law. I remember one of the ladies said we need to have a law passed that no more babies to be born in Canada. We need to slow down the population in this in this country. So be careful of this notification. Okay, don't fill it out. Do not fill it out. This is the cause of more trouble, because Trudeau is the racist and misogynist. He is the one that actually said this from the very beginning, and this is his little cause. Be careful what you use. And even if this happens in the States, folks, and if you have something similar to this, do not use this. Do not even fill it out. Throw it in the garbage. Rip it up, anything you can, and cover your name. Okay? Take it off, because that's what they like to do. But these are the ones that actually made this happen. Okay? The WHO, because Klaus Schwab said, and his words were this, and he said that just not too long ago, it's time now to depopulate the people. We need to go for the children now. The children now. He said that no one should have the right to breathe. Listen to this. He said no one should have the right to breathe, and he says now they should pay tax on oxygen. Really? So now you know. Okay. So I'm so glad that the real Schwab is gone. But you folks need to wake up. If you don't know, a lot of these guys are not really who they are. We've also got more racism here. We've got I knew there when I was a kid growing up again in school, we had a choice to learn French or German. I never understood why we had to learn German. They really pushed it in our school in Manitoba. They were trying to get us to learn German, not regular low German. They want us to learn the highest German, like as in like HITLER's German. And there was a fellow by the name of there was actually a teacher, Mr. Smans. Oh, he was quite the guy. Nice fellow, but he thought he was doing the right thing. And he was teaching us German. And he'd tell us stories what happened when he was a boy in the Second World War, and that he met him personally and, told him what he had to teach. And basically, we ourselves, folks, you guys might not realize, all across the world, we have been controlled by the HITLER's people, which is the Rothschilds. We always have been. We always have been, which is a German. And same thing with the Queen. She's German. That's not wasn't never just England. England was just a stomping ground, a place where she could place her head. She married into the family from the Germans to the English, the British. So she's not originally by birth of England. She's actually of birth of Germany. She was in battles with Hitler, but Hitler was her cousin. Did you know that? I bet you didn't know that. So cousin was fighting cousin, but they're just doing it it was just all to do with profit. It was a money-making scheme. The whole thing. The Rothschilds conferred on it. Rockefellers were part of it. Everybody that's all these billionaires at the time were part of it because they're all German. Even, J.P. Morgan was all part of it. He was a financial backer. He's a very evil man. He was the one that actually helped create the death of three millionaires or billionaires that refused to be part of the new banking, and they're the ones that were on the ship on the Titanic, where the Titanic sank, and that was purposely blown up. Like the Titanic sank because of a torpedo. It wasn't an iceberg; it was a torpedo. Okay, and that's why it went down. Because J.P. Morgan was supposed to be on that ship, but he changed his. Suddenly, his ticket was on the ship, but he never went on the ship. He was on the dock, and he knew this was all set up. Again, the money, like it's all to do with the new change, the banking system, and because the other three guys did not agree with the new banking system to control society, and so they had to get rid of those three millionaires, so they drowned. This whole thing is controlled, folks. Is all German controlled. Okay, this was the Third Reich. That was the beginning from the First World War to the Second World War, and the beginning of the Third World War was supposed to be the beginning of the Fourth Reich, which was actually Klaus Schwab's people. He's the follower of Hitler. Okay, he was a brown shirt. His grandfather was an SS officer. This man that came into Parliament here in Canada, he got a standing ovation. His name was Hunka. I'm not going to give him his first name. He was actually given a standing ovation. Why? Because he said that he was a Ukrainian freedom fighter. Well, the word Ukrainian freedom fighter was a German SS officer, and he was Hitler's right-hand man, and they gave him a standing ovation. Now, Anthony Rota, who actually was the Speaker of the House, resigned, gave his resignation, because Trudeau told him to hand in his resignation. It wasn't Anthony's idea to bring in this guy, it was actually Trudeau's. Okay, it wasn't Anthony's fault. It was Trudeau's fault. Why? Because Trudeau's wife is actually his wife. She actually is the granddaughter to Mr. Adolf, Hitler. So again, they're trying to sneak in the old German Fourth Reich idea into Parliament. And you guys are following. You guys think that the Ukraine are innocent, the military are innocent. They're not innocent. Zelensky is the most evilest man ever, next to his uncle. His uncle is actually George Soros, who actually was also brown shirt he was also working for Hitler. Okay, I'm not kidding you. Look it up. The history is real. It's all there, folks. Okay, and Zelensky, I've got a video here. And you guys are following Ukraine. If you really think Zelensky is such an innocent man, I have a video of two ladies here, an interview that they themselves witnessed Zelensky. Okay, involved. I could say this. Zelensky arranged. I'm not going to. How do you say these words carefully? He arranged a night of drinking, drugs, and rock and roll in his place. But the room, there was actually the girls. These were girls women that went to university, and they came down to this party. Were invited to come to the party. And when they walked in, there was everybody's very famous, very rich people there in the building. And they witnessed, there was Zelensky there, and they saw him in the arms of a man, just grabbing him in the crotch and kissing him like crazy. He's going nuts over the guy because he's not straight, he's gay, as gay as gays can be. And then he took the guy by the hand. The girl said they took him by the hand, went to his other room, this big room, and there was a whole bunch of guys on top of each other. It was all men. Okay, all men. So you pretty well get an idea. They're on top of each other. So it was an all men thing. And the girls are going like, okay, why are we here for invited to come to this party? Well, they were there, I guess, certain people they weren't going into Zelensky's little direction. So there was guys that were interested in these girls, but Zelensky was willing to pay for these girls to stay there and to spend the time. Basically, they wanted to be escorts. And it's very costly to become to go to school, university, to become doctors, and so they took the money from Zelensky to go there to get extra money to pay for their courses. And but it was proven as truth. These ladies actually had the proof that he was there. I mean, he was. This is what Zelensky does all the time. He's not as straight can be. And they said that he would tell you something else and tell a lie, and he's always got away with it. He was not perfect. He was a major cross-dresser, always has been. I got photographs of that. But the Ukraine actually is the Ukrainian, not the Ukrainian people. The Ukrainian people are wonderful because I got family from the Ukraine as well. But there are people, even Krista Freeland herself. She's actually a double agent. She was a double agent working for Zelensky. Still is. She's actually also related to Klaus Schwab's family. She's also part of the UN. She controls Canada. She's actually the mouthpiece for Trudeau. She's his handler. Okay, so she tells Trudeau what to do. You think Trudeau tells her what to do? No, she tells Trudeau what to do. Here's what I want you to do. Because Schwab told Trudeau, you do what she tells you, and you'll keep your job as a prime minister. Didn't make any sense, does it? No, not at all. So let's see here. So the 98-year-old hunka, and what else is there? One more person involved in this piece. Yeah. The guy was, a 98-year-old SS officer, Magnan Hunka. Let's see, Russian word, Yaroslav. And then, his name, Hunka, last name, okay, Hunka, the Russian name or Ukrainian name for Hunka means boyfriend. And the word Yaroslav, that's his first name, Yaroslav, and that means fierce and glory. So it's a German word for fierce and glory. Like, so he was fierce and glory boyfriend. Okay, got some fun here. Oh, okay. There's something I need to share with you guys. Our country is going to pot regarding the new doctors today. They don't have to swear under the Hippocratic Oath. Okay, and I'll explain this to you. The Hippocratic Oath, that means do no harm, right? Anybody's a doctor or a nurse, you take the Hippocratic Oath, you have to do, like, I take a Hippocratic Oath and I will never do any harm to a person. You're supposed to be considered as a doctor. That's why they can get, and so basically what happened was they don't do this anymore. The doctors don't swear do the Hippocratic Oath. They don't swear in anymore. What doctors do now these days are they're actually just sign a piece of paper. Okay. And ooh, Tony, yes. Too bad it should be a 2-day. Should be a 2-day, Tony. Okay, November the 4th. So Tony says in the chat room, it says, let you know there will be a 1-day powwow, November the 4th, Veterans Powwow, November the 4th. 1 day. Well, it should be 2 days, Tony. Push it, Tony, push it. Okay, let's go back to doctors, to the doctor's Hippocratic Oath. And there is no Hippocratic Oath for doctors any longer in Canada as well as the United States. They just sign a piece of paper, and I'll tell you why, because that's the reason why they can get away with misdiagnosis. They can get away with pretty well murder, and they don't get charged because there was a law that was passed in the United States as well as Canada that you cannot charge a doctor for malpractice. Okay. And the reason why that was passed is because that's why the people will get you to sign this piece of paper when you go into the hospital. Anything to do with any entrance of emergency and or clinic. If you are entering a building and they get you to sign this piece of paper with your care card or any kind of insurance card, you sign that piece of paper when you walk into a hospital, and you're signing your life. When they say the words, you're signing your life away, is true. Because the doctors cannot guarantee your life safety. That's why you sign the piece of paper. They cannot guarantee your life safety, because the Hippocratic Oath does no longer exist in Canada as well as the United States. It's there. They sign the piece of paper, but they don't do the Hippocratic Oath, like do no harm. Why do you think they did the snake bites? Why do you think they pushed it so hard? Because Bill Gates offered them during the pandemic $18,000 per death certificate, per contract, because basically they're calling everything, anything to do with a patient coming in the hospital. And if the patient is sick, they're calling it a contract. But basically, when they sign everything inside, C19, everything's all signed C19. That's why these doctors get paid money for that. Okay. And they're pushing the nurses to do the same thing themselves. That's what they're doing. I had to do the research and I had to look deep, and it's proven that the doctors and these young doctors, Even not the older doctors, like say guys my age, the younger ones, they don't have to sign the Hippocratic Oath. They don't. I'm sorry, they don't have to do the Hippocratic Oath. That means they can get away with MURDER and walk away and never get charged. Okay, and I'm not talking about a knife and a gun. I'm talking about in the arm. And if anything happens, malpractice, hey, not my problem. You sign a piece of paper. And even the family cannot even sue the hospital. So you're taking your own chances going into the hosp, which actually is Latin, means dead or death, and tall, building of death. You're actually putting your life in your own hands, walking into the building of death. Not building of life, not building of safety, not building of health, but building of death. Think about it, folks. Okay. Lions. Now, let's talk about the MEDs, med beds. They're coming up. They're still coming on this way. We just have to be patient. No pun intended. This is what really gets me. There's two ways of using the word patience. Patience as in doctor patience, and patient as in waiting. Doesn't make any sense, but they're using it. That means if you're saying, well, I have a patient in the room, that means I have someone waiting in the room. Like words can be deceiving. Two words spoken or spelt the same thing, but they say it differently. So I got a kick out of people in England. When we go to a bathroom, say the men go to the bathroom, the men walk in and they use the urinals. Okay, well, the urinals, like the part looks like a bowl. You do your thing. But when when you go to England, you're actually going to the urinal. It's called a urinal. I'm going, are you kidding me? He goes, no, they're called urinals. See what I mean? How language is spelled the same way, but language is spoken crazy. Will they go by under military law? Yes. Yes. Those who actually malpractice, because there is an international law that is they will be using international laws. They're going to be tracking down every doctor, going to check every record that every doctor got paid by Gates. And if they got too much money or got a lot of money from Gates, to say, okay, I'll sign this for that. And even they find out later it is malpractice. Is, for example, my mom, one of my moms, there's a lady who I call mom for years, and her name is Anne. I won't mention her last name. And we've known her for many years. And she calls me her son number 8. And I always call her mom. And when she passed away, but they signed her certificate as COV. Well, it wasn't her. She didn't have it. She had something else. But they signed it COV, not the real symptom. So meantime, that doctor got paid $18,000. So what the military are going to do, they're going to check every record in all the hospitals for every doctor that actually was assigned there. And they're going to check their records. And if all the records show that they all signed all these, like these previous past files, and if anybody has signed too many of them have the same thing and know very well what their symptoms really were, because there's going to be military doctors there too, and they're going to check out the files. And they're going to check your files, doctors. I'm not kidding you. Any of you doctors watching me right now, they're going to check your later files. They're going to check your files that you kept, or the ones you sent away to Bill Gates. Because a patent, don't forget, folks, this patent was made. Bill Gates patented, and so did the Rothschilds. They patented the C19. And they patented, that means anytime you sign it, C19, they get paid money. Okay? They get paid money. And the doctors get paid a percentage, which basically is $18,000 per signature. It's a true story. They get paid $18,000 per signature. And if a nurse signs it, even he or she gets also taken away as well. So again, we may have lost 134 real doctors that lost their lives through the snake bites here in British Columbia, and we probably will be losing more because they themselves believed that it was real. They believed that these snake bites are important, that they had to take them or they couldn't keep their job. And other doctors left. They said, no, we're not going to take this. And they left. Even nurses, they left. And then the hospitals say, oh, we're short of these doctors, short of nurses. You know why you're short of nurses and doctors? Not because they left. It's because the other ones died. And the other ones will not come back because they were kicked out of the hospital because they refused to get the, you know what? Guess what? Like I said before, Dr. Bonnie Henry, from the very beginning of the show, Dr. Bonnie Henry wants everybody to do the same thing again. This is a repeat. Oh, it's getting to be the cold and flu season, so we're going to have to start doing this again. No, you don't. No, you don't. Don't forget, Bonnie Henry got paid $1.5 million to push this stuff. And she admitted that she got paid. Who paid her? Gates. He paid her $1.5 million to keep on pushing this stuff. And she admitted it. She goes, yeah, I got paid to do my job. She's the most expensive health authority in BC I've ever seen, ever. And I'm sure how many other health authorities in other provinces got paid the same amount of money. But I will say this, to get your attention, Dr. Bonnie Henry is not the real Dr. Bonnie Henry. The real one went bye-bye already last year. This one's replaced again. We've actually, most of these health authorities, politicians, the baddies, they're not with us any longer. They're gone through the military tribunals. The ones that replaced them are just the actor or clone. So you'll find out. You'll see, here comes the clones. You'll hear that song. Here comes the clones. It's a circus, folks. Yes, her neck looks like a mask, and it's true, Joanne. That's absolutely true. I watched this woman, actually, this last year. No, it was last year, 2022, that's where she was still trying to get people to wear masks. And she was on TV. I'm not sure if some of you have actually seen it on BC TV, and she actually was saying something closely on the microphone like this, and she says, I won't tolerate. Her voice went down so low like that, and she grabbed her neck, and she looked to the right, and she's looking for someone to wave to her, and they had to adjust her voice modulator. When she lifted her hand away, you can see the seam of the mask down here. I'm not kidding you. It's a voice modulator they put under the mask, so then they sound like them, but they're not them. So the lady that's there right now is not the real Bonnie Henry. Okay? Even your Bidens, a lot of your people, watch their neck down here. Watch, because this is what they wear down here. And if they're wearing a full, like even Bidan, I've seen so many screw ups on him. You'll see him play with his forehead, and all of a sudden that rubber starts to wrinkle on the roof of his forehead, or it'll start to wrinkle up inside of here. And it has nothing to do with age, folks. It's the rubber's wrinkling, right? And you can see it. Anybody can see it. If you really don't be dumb and say, oh, and because of his skin. It's flicks, Yes, her face is fatter than last time, not because she eats well. That's exactly because the face has to fit, that person underneath has to fit the mask. And that mask is like this. In a matter of, let's put it this way, when I saw the Bonnie Henry, who was slim, next week, Bonnie Henry. And they're going, there's Bonnie Henry. I'm like, no, that's not Bonnie Henry. Yes, it is. No, it's not. Yes, it is. No, it's not. That's not Bonnie Henry, because she's acting differently. She's not the same Bonnie Henry. They probably got her mannerisms, but not the whole thing down pat. Because don't forget, folks, why was Bonnie Henry trying to, or she wrote a book during the sea time, and she wrote that book regarding the sea time. Why did she write it and have you guys have you come down to the store, and I heard she autographed the book for you to make her look famous? And you thought her being a superhero? She was not a superhero. She was a villain. She's the worst of the worst. And every other province, even in Calgary, oh my God. And Edmonton, he was the evil one. Okay. Another evil one. Your premier of Alberta, oh my God. He was so bad. He took so many, and you got to remember, folks, go back in time. He took even a lot of the pastors, okay, arrested them, and didn't just hold them overnight in jail, or give them hold them overnight in jail and let them go the next day, or give them a fine. No, they took them. They ordered them to take these pastors to a federal penitentiary. They took them to a federal penitentiary, okay, directly down there, put him in the prison, left him there for almost 5 months. Federal pen. That is an international law. You broke the international law there was no charges. They just grabbed him and put him there and left him there. One pastor went there, Arthur Pulowski, was there, stuck there for 50, almost 5 months. And he was naked every day in a cold cell in the winter time in Edmonton. The weather there was horrible. He was going to die. He knew he was going to die there. He was freezing to death, and they wouldn't even help him. The guards were told by the premier, Jason Kenney, I already know you're gone. I already know you're dead, bud, because I know very well Jason Kenney's already been executed. So if there is a Jason Kenney now, he's just a clone, because they got rid of you, bud, real fast, because they know you screwed up big time. You broke so many international laws, bud. Ugh, you just make me shake. Like, even, your premier of Ontario, Doug Ford, another baddie. That guy actually, if you think about it, folks, he was the one that actually has a printing business before he became mayor. And he still had a printing business. He was commissioned to make all those floor stickers 5 years ahead of time for all across Canada. Wall stickers and floor stickers. He got paid over $1 billion to do all these floor stickers. He was really bad. You think his brother was bad, drug user? His brother was nothing. This brother, this Doug Ford, was the worst of the worst. And he got caught. And the military came in and picked him up this past year. And his daughter said, "Bye-bye, Daddy." Yep. So, folks, if you guys think that that your government, every politician is going to get it, you think they're going to get away with it? No. What you witness looks like they're getting away with it? No. If you see some of these officers think they're going to get away with it, if they see the film, which they do, see the abuse by these officers, they're not just disciplined, they are arrested by the military and the gun bye-bye. Because you're not supposed to abuse a citizen of the land. That's sovereign territory. You are a sovereign people. You're no longer under a corporation. That was taken away. That was removed a long time ago. In Canada, United States, we're no longer under corporation. Never have been. It's even Mexico, not the corporation. We're free people. And you need to know that. every one of you. And then I know very well what's going to happen down the road. Down the road, we're going to start seeing some of the, again, more of the social networks. They may want to drop all of us, and they're going to say, "Oh, you can't talk about this, can't say this, can't say that." You know what? I don't care, because I got it recorded. I'm recording it, and it's going to go into my Rumble page, and then you guys can take that and share that everywhere, all over the world, because I'm not the only one that witnesses this stuff. There are many of us out there that are whistleblowers. Many of us are the digital warriors, or those who participated on the streets and protest. All of us are the warriors, every one of us. Anybody who's actually part of residential school, they're not survivors, they're warriors. We're all warriors, every one of us, because we're standing for the right of the land, right of the people, and right of the world. And God is on our side, has always been on our side. I'm on Telegram. Guys, if you're not using Telegram, start downloading the app and get Telegram. It is free, and it's better for you to go there. You get better information there. You have the freedom to say and do what you want to do there. You don't get kicked out. Okay. It's controlled by the military on that page. That site is controlled by military. They cannot touch it. Even Trudeau even tried to shut down Telegram. He even tried to get Telegram even removed off of Facebook, even the name Telegram off of Facebook. He didn't want nobody to know to even go there. Even like, I mean, why? Because they don't want you to know the truth. He even went and Trudeau even went as far as to remove all editorials that are Canadian editorials from a newspaper or media, that we cannot share those editorials. He's making it where you can't do that on any social network, because he'll just shut them down. Because if you forward it, he'll say, no, you can't do that. It's all cut out. This is Canada. But here's a secret, folks. Get yourself a second camera, a second cell phone. You got a cell phone in front of you here. What you see that plays, record it from this cell phone on that cell phone. Now you got a copy. That's your copy. Now, once you got that item done, recorded, now you put on your page, and Trudeau can't touch it, because now it belongs to you. And I've been doing this for a long time now. It saves me the headache. Okay? So it's easier that way. It keeps all the problems. Where are we here? Come on back, baby. Here we go. So here's my second phone. Never throw your second phone away, folks. Don't even exchange it. You save that, because it's still a camera, still a recording camera. Okay. You pay extra $15, and you don't have to use it as a telephone. Use it as a video camera. So you got this, you record that, and some are watching the show, it's on my screen, and it's recording. Once you save that, then you put it on the page, wherever social network you're using, place it on there, and then when you don't need, when it's already done, save into a file on your computer, make a special file, make it a Q file, and then remove it from this phone, so then you can keep on using it continuously. So you don't have to worry about building up all the room and space. And it saves you a headache. Meantime, no one can stop you from sharing. That's how it works. Share, right? So when you guys can, when you're able to, please like and share, subscribe on my YouTube page, as well as my Telegram. Download the app on Telegram. I use it all the time. Even like to subscribe. The same thing on Rumble. True North page on, or not True North. True North One Stronger free. But my page on Rumble, you can find me under White Sky Cloud #1, White Sky Cloud 1, and you want to subscribe in that page on Rumble, and you'll find me there. You'll find all the chasing shadow or shadow chasing shows on there. Watch them all. If you haven't missed any, refer back to them. There's a lot of great information, and please share all those around, because it's good to have that. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. Anybody's got Telegram, just keep on sharing. It's important. And eventually, I mean, I do have a page called the True North Strong and Free. It's on Facebook as well as on Telegram. True North Strong and Free. It's in capital letters. You can't miss it. On the Facebook one, I've got that as well. What's happening now, Facebook is removing some of my editorials, not my own, not just mine, but others. And Facebook has already restricted me and gave me a restriction page on Facebook and said I can only have X amount of people follow me because what I've been sharing. Now and then what they do is not just restricting, but they're also taking my editorials out of my page without permission. They cannot do that. You still own it. And they're calling it conditions. And no, I didn't sign it. I didn't give you permission to take it. But they're doing it because they think they think they're the bosses. So this is going to change, folks. I'm serious. This is a lot of this thing is going to change. Now, I want to share this with you before I forget. You guys need to know this because I'm sure you guys have not seen this. Okay. And you may not have seen this in the chat. You may not be able to see the show, see the video on YouTube, but please, if you can, stop in back into Facebook because I want you guys to see this video, what Trudeau had done in India 2 weeks ago. He made a fool of himself. Okay, let's get ready here. I'm going to flip this around. And on Indian TV, let's see here. A very trustworthy fellow who actually was in India. And it says India TV Trudeau caught cocaine overdose G20 summit. Okay, he was caught. Trudeau was hiring a freaking kite. He got caught in India, and this fake one almost got caught, and he almost went to jail. And in India, they don't tolerate prison. You'll see for yourself. Okay, let's get this sign up. And here we go.
On Indian TV, ex-diplomat Deepak Vora revealed that Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was unable to attend a number of events at the recent G20 summit for a valid reason. He spent 2 days in his hotel room with a cocaine overdose. Allegedly, the sniffer dogs that were allowed on Trudeau's plane as soon as he landed in Delhi for security reasons nearly fainted as the entire plane was literally covered in cocaine from top to bottom. Watch this video. This is Nicholas Benyamin. Follow me for more.
Credible क्या कहते हैं rumors हैं कि इसके जहाज में से कोकेन मिली थी हमारे स्निफर डॉग्स को और फिर 2 दिन ही अपने होटल में के कमरे में बंद रहा बाहर नहीं आया प्रेसिडेंट हमारे भारत के राष्ट्रपति जो डिनर किया था उसमें नहीं गया लोग कहते हैं कि नशे में था ड्रग्स के तो कुछ कहा नहीं जा सकता कि इसका दिमाग में क्या है
On Indian TV.
Oh, so you'll see on their newspaper, that's a newspaper in India, it says former Indian diplomat claims that Justin Trudeau's plane to India was full of cocaine. Full of cocaine. He was actually selling it. Folks, do you get it? He was taking cocaine to India and selling it there, and he got caught. But because he is a politician, he gets free access to do whatever he wants. He was supposed to be there but what basically happens, this Trudeau got so freaking high that he had no control over his senses. So it says he skipped the G20 dinner and has only sideline talks with PM Modi, Prime Minister, and is trouble brewing big time. They don't want him back. India does not want Trudeau back. In fact, he's been banned from India. Okay? banned from India. That sounds like someone else I know, Jagmeet Singh. He's also been banned from India. Why? Because he was also one of the followers of the Air India bombing years back in Canada. So think about it, guys. Okay, let's look at another one here. I'm going to bring another one up. And let's see, next one here.
Right, so this is an emergency update. When I first came across this information, I was absolutely astonished, to say the least. Not that surprised in hindsight, but completely astonished. Now, this is incontrovertible proof, if true, that we are in World War III and that the only thing preventing a massive nuclear escalation is the restraint of some high-ranking military officers. Because get a load of this, guys. A Leopard tank, along with its crew of German soldiers, was destroyed in the Northern Military District zone. Not mercenaries, but German soldiers. And just wait, stick with me for the duration of this video because there's a lot of other things we need to talk about, but this is one of those things that just makes me wonder how we're all still here to talk about this. Russian intelligence officers have destroyed a German Leopard tank transferred to Ukraine with a crew of Bundeswehr soldiers in the Northern Military District zone. The officers claim, and I quote, "When we stopped their assault, we moved towards the burnt equipment in the hope of taking the tongue. And when we found that the tank driver was seriously wounded and the rest died, the mechanic, when we woke him up, he saw us and he began shouting, 'Nicht schießen, nicht schießen.' Translation in German, 'Don't shoot,' the officer told the news agency. Legend emphasized that the driver of the damaged tank, legend in quotes, I believe that is the name of the officer company that captured this damaged tank, said several times that he was not a mercenary, but a soldier of the Bundeswehr, and the entire crew was recruited from one company of the German armed forces. According to the Russian officers, it was of little surprise, of course, which signifies that they already know that a lot of this equipment is being commandeered by NATO. But then I thought I was even glad that it doesn't matter what kind of crew sits in the Leopard, he said. Ukrainian militants or German military personnel. The result will be the same. German tanks will burn and the American ones will burn, even if they are controlled by Americans, said the Russian intelligence officer. Think of what is happening right now. You have German tanks utilizing God knows what for ammunition, depleted uranium rounds. I think it was only the Challenger tanks, but the Abrams are going to use depleted uranium rounds that are being piloted by German soldiers, conscripted from the German military, NATO soldiers fighting in territory that Russia deems to be its own, invading Russian territory. Okay? So you have German soldiers in a German tank crossing into Russian territory with a German tank. That's World War III. They haven't called it that yet. I assure you that our fate hangs in the balance right now. It hangs on the restraint and resolve of a handful of Russian military officers that are just waiting for the signal. This is it. It doesn't get more World War III than that. Now, get a load of this next piece of news. You remember how Germany had said that they were going to provide long-range Taurus missiles only when the U.S. says ATACMS. Well, what did the U.S. just commit to in the last 48 hours? They're going to send ATACMS. Well, rumor has it, and this is just an unsubstantiated rumor at this point, but I don't think it's far from the truth, because Boris Pistorius, that name we all love to say, the German defense minister, indicated that we're not ruling out the sending of Taurus missiles, meaning that they're going to send them. This is all coordinated well ahead of time. They're going to send Taurus missiles. Taurus missiles can target Moscow from Ukraine. We've already heard NATO say that they don't care where Ukraine uses this weaponry. You've got Germans in German tanks fighting on what Russia deems to be its territory. It doesn't get more World War III than that. Things could escalate wildly any minute now. Any minute now. Germany This is a claim, is going to transfer the first batch of 45 Taurus missiles to Ukraine in the near future, and the second batch of Taurus will consist of 50 that will be transferred to the Ukrainian armed forces before November 10th. Now, again, this is unsubstantiated rumor, but it's not a long shot. At this point, it's a given that they are going to get these weapon systems. What they do with them and what the Russian response will be is the question. Now, all of this on the heels of a massive strike on Sevastopol Black Sea Fleet headquarters in Crimea, alleging to have taken out top Russian officers, including the commander of the Black Sea Fleet. I don't know how I'm still here making these videos, and I know a lot of people are getting red line fatigue, in that every time these red lines get crossed and Russia does nothing in response, everybody starts to become just a little disinterested in all of this stuff. And I worry that that moment when even I become disinterested in the red lines, so keenly aware of what's going on with this situation, and people like myself start succumbing to that red line fatigue, that is when the shit's going to hit the fan. Okay, that's it. It's a classic thing that, you know, once people have become exhausted with a certain idea and they think that there's not going to be any reprisals for our actions, that's when we're going to see them. It's almost as if we need to be concerned in order to show the Russians that we do have some restraint with respect to how much we are willing to escalate this and how quickly we are willing to do it. But M1 Abrams tanks are already in Ukraine. They're already there. So the question is, will they be piloted by a crew of Americans or other NATO soldiers from NATO countries, Polish soldiers, Romanian soldiers? Who knows? On that same note, we have world holding its breath as Putin orders 3,000 nuclear missile troops to be combat ready. In fact, let me backtrack just a little bit here. I want to talk quickly about a saboteur bomb attack that happened that received almost no media attention whatsoever, which is surprising that this wasn't my first headline or a headline video in itself. And this just shows how far this thing has gone. When Ukraine can target and destroy, allegedly, 2 Russian doomsday planes at an airfield which is in and around the Moscow area, and we don't even talk about it anymore. 2 doomsday planes, Ilyushin planes, as well as a helicopter, were claimed to have been destroyed at Chekhovsky Airfield, just outside of Moscow. Now, these are the planes that can, you know, basically control their command and control for their nuclear weapons. They can initiate the launch sequence of Russia's strategic nuclear forces, and saboteurs are attacking them. This is not the first time that Russia's nuclear triad has been targeted. Now, ask yourself, why would Ukraine be targeting Russia's nuclear triad? It's not Ukraine that's doing it. It's probably NATO in some way, shape, or form that is trying to eliminate Russia's ability to launch a nuclear strike. They're serious about this. I worry that they really do think that they can bring down Russia and that they can bring Russia to heel, and that they can do it while potentially minimizing the amount of nuclear fallout. They know that the Russians are going to be able to get some of those things in the air, but if they can minimize it beforehand, if they can destroy their command and control structure, and they can effectively neutralize Russia's ability to do a retaliatory strike, which is crazy and it sounds insane, but this might be what they are thinking. We have cyber attacks taking place in Crimea. But anyways, so we have Russia holding this massive nuclear missile drill with 3,000 troops. You know, the Russians who are supposed to be bogged down and they have no other resources to spare while they're committing 3,000 troops to a massive nuclear combat readiness exercise trained on the highest degree of combat readiness. The combat drills took place in Severodonetsk. Let me try this again. Sverdlovsk region on Thursday and saw 3,000 Tegel Rocket Division soldiers being trained on the highest degree of combat readiness. There is a clip that shows thousands of soldiers training on the Yar's thermonuclear intercontinental ballistic missile system, which is feared throughout the world because of their massive 7,000-mile range. Well, that's not even, I mean, they got weapons that can travel much farther than that. They also educated the thousands of soldiers on how to fight back against attacks from the West on Putin's prized and devastating arsenal of nuclear weapons. The use of such weapons on Ukraine and the West would be a huge drastic step from the Russian president, as it forced NATO to immediately strike back in a scenario that would undoubtedly trigger World War III. Now, we understand, as I've already laid out, that Ukrainians have very little to gain by targeting Russia's nuclear triad, because Russia is not, in this conflict yet, utilizing their nuclear triad. So this must be in some way related to NATO trying to neutralize Russia's nuclear triad by taking out their command and control in conjunction with cyber attack capabilities and possibly staging some sort of first strike that would minimize Russia's ability to launch a retaliatory strike. I mean, this is absolutely crazy. And just like I say, right when everybody succumbs to red line fatigue, that's when this shit's going to get wildly out of control, right when we all forget. There is a massive emergency alert that's going to be sent out on October 4th. There's no secret signals or none of this bullshit conspiracy that people are circulating. This is the real deal. They are preparing us to get ready to get an alert notification on our phone that the bombs are going to drop. And remember, they don't have any bunkers. I must reiterate, I talked about this in the video yesterday, where, you know, you're showing these decadent parties that these elites are attending right now in the Palace of Versailles with King Charles and Macron, and you contrast that, you juxtapose that with soldiers being blown apart in a trench. These people do not care about you and me. They simply couldn't give a damn about our well-being. Do you seriously think, and can you seriously trust people who are indulging in that high level of opulence while soldiers are blown to bits in trenches 1,000 times a day? Can you seriously put any faith in those people that they're going to have your back when the time comes? We're on our own, and the sooner we understand that, the better. They're getting incredibly close, and the Russians no longer trust the West. And how the Russians have needed any more confirmation of this is besides me at this point. Russia was deceived about the guarantees for the grain deal, according to Sergei Lavrov, Russia's foreign minister. All promises that were given to Moscow as part of the grain export deal turned out to be a lie. What a surprise! You mean the people that violated the Minsk agreements can't actually be taken on their word? Sometimes I wonder if Russia just knows and they're just pretending to play along with all this stuff because they know what the inevitable outcome is going to be. It's going to be nuclear Armageddon. They're just taking as much time as they can to get things prepared, and just going along with these false deals, these deals which are just used to buy time and act as a staging ground for attacks. Anyways, get a load of this. The top diplomat pointed out that the grain corridors had been used for attacks on Russian ships. And now the Russians are being pushed back in the Black Sea. They're starting to fortify Tokmak, which is a town that is within the occupied annexed territories that are currently being stormed by Germans in German tanks, and now going to be hit by German missiles, F-16s that are nuclear capable. I'm getting chills just thinking about how quickly this thing can go south. The Russians don't trust the Americans and NATO. Neither do the Chinese. The Chinese are ramping up their military exercises, record amounts of incursions into Taiwanese airspace in the past month. Things are ratcheting up. This could be a long, cold winter. Remember, World War III will start before winter. I'm not saying it's going to start before this winter, but typically, if you want to do the most amount of damage, you do it before winter, because that's when everybody needs the infrastructure to survive. Natural gas. Here in Canada, we are the highest consumers of energy. Without the grid, we're screwed. So you better have a plan to keep yourself warm if the lights go out this winter. If there ever was going to be a time that it hit the fan, it's going to be right before winter, okay? And the speech that Biden gave at the UN the other day, it seems to be a harbinger that they're getting ready to go to war with the Russians. They're already at war with the Russians, as we've already talked about de facto anyways. JP Morgan is saying that oil is going to surge to $150. Anyways, guys, don't succumb to the fatigue. Keep on prepping. Keep both eyes open. Shoot with both eyes open, because you never know what is around the corner. And again, do not put any faith in our oligarchical overlords to tell us when it's all going to go down. We have to use our own discernment for that. Don't get caught up down tinfoil hat conspiracy rabbit holes. This is what it is. It's a conflict between East and West. Both are armed to the teeth with nuclear weapons. And sooner or later, one side is going to be forced to use them. The more you prepare and get yourself squared away for the inevitable crash of the supply chain, the global supply chain, the better off you're going to be. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Canadian Prepper out.
Thank you, Canadian Prepper. He's got this show called These Final Hours. He's actually on Telegram. So he's just giving you an update from September 28th. Now, October 4th, it doesn't always mean nuclear war, because number one, we don't have, we would never have a nuclear war, because our extra friends won't even allow it ever to happen. They'd stop that from happening. There's no way it'll never happen at all. Let's see, two more we'll bring up here.
The next generation of Ray-Ban Meta smart glasses. These are the first smart glasses that are built and shipping with Meta AI in them. Starting in the US, you're going to get this state-of-the-art AI that you can interact with hands-free wherever you go. We're going to be issuing a free software update to the glasses that makes them multimodal. So the glasses are going to be able to understand what you're looking at when you ask them questions. So if you want to know what the building is that you're standing in front of, or if you want to translate a sign that's in front of you to know what it's saying, or if you need help fixing this sad leaky faucet, you can basically just talk to Meta AI and look at it, and it'll walk you through it step by step how to do it. We built in one more feature into these smart glasses. You are going to be able to live stream to your friends and followers from your glasses.
Everybody is ready to race, and I am getting ready to. Let's go.
Switching to glasses.
Being able to share what you're doing live with your friends and followers while staying completely in the moment is the kind of thing that you can only do on smart glasses. So, all right, these Ray-Ban Meta smart glasses, we're launching them on October 17th, starting at $299, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what you all think of them.
So now you guys know about that one, and that's coming up. Too bad it's the fake Zuck that is promoting it.
This is in Antarctica via Google Earth.
So I recommend to have a look at that. Do your Google Earth and see if you can find Antarctica. So everyone kept saying, "Oh, I'm not sure I can find Antarctica out here," and I'm like, "Sure you can." So we'll see. So I wanted to share that with you guys, and I really do appreciate your time. And this is something I want to share with you. This last piece right here. I made this sign up here with this little red line here. Basically we need to put this in here because there are people out there that still think that they need this. We don't need that, right? So that's something that they need to deal with. Anyways, guys, I want to thank you guys for being part of the program, and I hope you guys really love what we have shared with you this evening on a special night on Monday. And let's see here, really making people disconnected from really to virtual reality with those meta glasses. Yeah, it is. I mean, basically, it's come to the point where you'll end up not even use your phone anymore. Like you're already got your plug in your ear, your glasses on, your hands free. I mean, really hands free. You won't have nothing to hang on to be going like, okay, hello, Bob, are you there? And one day they're going to actually put the phone into the glasses. So you'll be talking in your glasses. You won't need that either. So we just swing around, pop in your ear, and you're done. So they're just swinging them to the point that there's really no cell phones in your hands. But through some of my research, I found actually there are pictures and photographs of the presidents of the United States way back then, even as far back as Abraham Lincoln, that actually had one of these cell phones in his hand. Gee, I wonder who actually went back in time and showed him. So there's something here that's not just the first time that we actually had these, like say 20 years ago. Right? So I really appreciate you guys coming on the program. I really appreciate your being here this evening. I'll talk to you guys this coming Thursday. And you guys have a great night. Be good to each other, and many blessings to you. But God be with you all. And enjoy life by getting them before. Like and subscribe me on Rumble, YouTube, on this show, on Rumble Station. Go there, find me there, as well as on Telegram. I'm majorly on Telegram a lot. Please like and share there. Go in there and join. And I'll get you guys in as friends, and you get to like my stuff. I do the True North Strong and Free page. If you got any questions you want to ask later on, you're more than welcome to. We'll talk to you guys this coming Thursday. Take care, guys.
Everyone lives, everyone dies. Everyone loves, everyone cries. Round the world we're all alike. So why is a war? Why do we fight? There's one sea, one sky, one earth. So you and I gotta learn to live together. When one hurts, when one needs, we all gotta learn to live together. Peace, make peace, make peace, peace. Isn't it time to stop dying? Isn't it time, mother, stop crying? Stop the fighting and the hate. We gotta make peace before it's too late. There's one sea, one sky, one earth. So you and I gotta learn to live together. When one hurts, when one needs, we all gotta learn to live together. Peace and peace, and peace. All right, peace together. Peace.